Hey guys, it's Cole from TCG Cardcast, and today I'm going to bring you my 40 card Phantasm deck profile. So let's get into it. Anyway, starting off with obviously the three main boys. You need to be playing at least one of each if you really want this deck to play at full power. So we have one Rabiel, Lord of Phantasms, one Haman, Lord of Striking Thunder, and one Uriah, Lord of Searing Flames. Now, in this deck profile, I've actually summoned Uriah and used him for actually like attacking, not just for materials for Armatile, quite a lot more than I really thought I would. Armatile really plays a much bigger role in this deck than I thought he was going to. So if you ever run out of Uriah or if you ever run out of Haman or Rabiel, don't be afraid to go for Uriah with this deck profile. You really do want to go for all three of them. They're all really good cards. But of course, to make your Rabiel a little better, we do play one copy of Rabiel, Lord of Phantasms, Shimmering Scraper. This and a lot of the rest of the deck are cards that you can just get one-ofs or three-ofs just from buying a couple copies of the structure deck. When you get the structure deck, it's honestly, I think it's one of the best structure decks Konami has released in a very long time because it does exactly what it needs to do, which is it buffs the Sacred Beasts to a point where they're incredibly playable, just with a little bit of augmentation to what the original deck has. But this guy's really good. He's pretty much just an honest Neos for Rabiel, and then you can tribute one useless monster you have, which, by the way, at the end of your turn, you will have at least one useless monster if you've done the turn properly. So you will always have something to tribute for this guy to bring him back to your hand, to discard during your battle phase, to boost Rabiel up to 8,000. So that's really cool. We do want to play one copy of him. Now, this is a really cool tech. This and a couple cards in the extra deck I saw on someone else's video. We are going to play one copy of Exodius, the Ultimate Forbidden Lord. This is a really cool card. I think this one's really pretty too, just specifically this ultra rare copy. But Exodius, the Ultimate Forbidden Lord is a monster that you can special summon from your hand by returning all the monsters in your graveyard to your deck. He is a level 10, so what you want to do is you summon him, and then you want to summon one of your Sacred Beasts like Uriah or Haman or Rabiel, and you want to Xyz summon them. You want to overlay them into one of the basic rank 10 Xyz monsters. And then some of those even combo really well with your Sacred Beast support as well. So Exodius is a really good card. Plus, if you just need to shuffle your cards back into your deck, he's kind of like a walking pot of avarice. You shuffle all your cards back in and summon this boy in defense position. It really, really helps, and it covers a lot of ground, which is really, really nice. The deck doesn't have any normal monsters to use his other effects, however, but he's still a really good card nonetheless. Plus, he's a dark monster, so he just works with the rest of the deck. Now, I used to play 3 of this next card, but now I only play 2. We want to play 2 copies of the Dark Summoning Beast. 3 is a little bricky. Honestly, you can take out your 3rd for a spot for this guy right here, which is really, really nice. You only need 2 of this because it's so easy to search. It's so easy to summon off of the engine that this deck plays. And it's a really good card, and it's really easy to recycle, again, with your Exodius or just with other cards that you play in this deck, which is really, really nice. We're going to kind of speed up here a little bit just so we can get through the monsters really fast. You do want to play 3 copies of the other 2, which are 3 copies of Dark Beckoning Beast. So Beckoning Beast is when you normal summon him, you can add an Uriah, Lord of Searing. You can add one of the Phantasms or a card that specifically mentions them from your deck to your hand. And while he's face up on the field once per turn while he's on the field, so you can't gain this effect more than once, you can conduct an extra normal summon for a 0/0 Fiend, which is what every single one of this deck's support monsters are. They are 0/0 Fiend, 0/0 Fiend. So you really, really, you can use this effect to search for your Dark Summoning Beast, which is nice. You summon this guy, search for your Dark Summoning Beast, and then tribute summon your Dark Summoning Beast, which is really, really nice. Dark Beckoning Beast, really, really good. Personally, my favorite one, however, is the Chaos Summoning Beast. Chaos Summoning Beast is really good because you normal summon him, and then you just get to summon one from your hand, like with the effect of Dark Beckoning Beast. And then when he's in the graveyard, you can banish him to search for a copy of your Fallen Paradise. So that's really, really good, obviously, because You summon him, put one on the board, and then you get to search for your Fallen Paradise and draw 2, which would open up plenty of other combo opportunities, and that's 2 cards out of your hand, so you still have another 3 to 4 cards to work with. So this is personally my favorite one. I think he's the best of the new support, though I think all of them are equally really, really good. He's just the one you want to go for the most if you don't have, like, he's the one that's the best on his own. I'll say that. He's the best on his own. Now, I do play a specific engine in this deck. I saw this on somebody else's deck profile, and I didn't really think about this. I know a lot of people did this before, but this is a really good combo. You really, really, really want to play 3 copies of Stygian Street Patrol and just the 1 copy of Armageddon Knight. This engine is really good. Most of the time, you aren't even summoning Stygian Street Patrol, or you're even barely summoning Armageddon Knight, because with Armageddon Knight, you can normal summon him, and then you can send one of these to the graveyard. Or, if you want, you can even discard these guys off of the effects of cards in this deck, because this deck does a lot of discarding, which is really, really nice. So you can discard these guys, and then when you do, you can banish them from your graveyard to summon your Dark Beckoning Beast, your Dark Summoning Beast, or your Chaos Summoning Beast. Now, these guys aren't really the best because you don't want to special summon them, but the Dark Summoning Beast, you 100% want to summon off of these guys if you haven't already used him that turn. So yeah, these are super good, which is really, really nice. And if they're destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can inflict damage everyone equal to the original attack, or equal to the original level of the monster that destroyed it, times 100. So this is also a really nice burn card. If you're kind of just there at the precipice of victory, you can set this guy, get it destroyed, and then it will it'll burn your opponent, which is really, really nice. So those are all the monsters I play in this deck. It's pretty basic, honestly. It seems really basic, but honestly, this deck is super, super good. It's a really fun rogue deck too, which is really, really nice. On to the spells. The first card we're playing 3 of is 3 copies of Opening of the Spirit Gates. Personally, I kind of wish that the structure deck didn't come with 3 ultra rare copies of the Sacred Beasts. I kind of wish it came with ultra copies of this card, because this card is so handy. You use this card so much. And just like the artwork depicts, this is the card you use to start the onslaught of the Sacred Beasts. In the anime, this card, when it was summoned, or when it was, not the card, but like when the Spirit Gates opened, it was the sign that the end times were upon us, and that the Sacred Beasts, or the Phantasms, were about to descend upon the world. Which is really cool, because that's a big thing this deck does that a lot of people don't talk about. This deck's artworks all depict the different stages of the Sacred Beasts coming to our world and essentially destroying it, which is really, really cool. But this card's really cool. When it's activated, you can add one of them to your hand, or a monster that lists them from your deck to your hand. And then once per turn, you can discard a card, special summon a Fiend with 0/0 from your graveyard. And then once per turn, if you control level 10, this effect, I never use this effect. You can add a continuous spell from your graveyard to your hand. So, I mean, if you ever do, for some reason, send like your Cerulean Skyfire to the graveyard, I guess you can search it back with this card, but I've never done that before. I've never used this card's last effect, but I always used its first and second effect. This is like the key spell. If Dark Magical Circle was like the best spell in Dark Magicians, this is the best spell in this deck, for sure. We do play 2 copies of Fallen Paradise. We only play 2 because it's really easy to get the first one in your hand. And after that, if this one gets destroyed, it's really easy to get the second copy into your hand. If you lose 2 copies of this card, I mean, there are ways, again, to recycle it, I believe. But I don't know. I really don't think you need 2. I think 3 is too bricky. I think 2 is perfect. It's a lot like Shadow Mist and Heroes, where you want to see it, but you don't want to see it too much. So 2 copies is like the perfect combo for this deck. And I mean, yeah, this card's, it's the best, one of the best. It protects them from targeting and destruction, and all 4 of them, actually, I believe. Yeah, it protects all 4 sets, all 3 plus the fusion. And then if you control one of, or any of them, you can draw 2, which is super, super cool. So that's always useful. A field spell that lets you draw 2 and protects. You know, never a bad idea. We play 2 copies of Cerulean Skyfire. This card's really nice. Essentially what it does is it rewrites Hamon's summoning condition. So where Hamon says that you need to tribute 3 face-up 3 face-up continuous spells. What this does is it just says you can tribute any spells. So you can tribute 3 face-up continuous spells or any face-down spells. So you can actually set spells, tribute them, send them to the graveyard, and this card lets you summon Haman that way. So that's really, really nice. It also has an effect where if any of the Sacred Beasts are sent to your graveyard, this turn you take no damage. And then it's got a final effect, which is if you control a face-up attack position Haman, you can change him to defense position to negate any spell or trap activation that your opponent does. So that's really good. Obviously, negates are always a really, really good thing in a big deck like this. So really, really cool there. And then our last Sacred Beast spell is Dimension Fusion Destruction. This is the card you want to use to summon your one of your 2 Armatiles, or you want to use it to summon Emperor Trilage. I never really know how to pronounce this card's name. Trilogig, something like that. But yeah, you want to use it to summon one of your 3 fusions because that's just how good it is. And when you summon a monster with this, you don't take battle damage, which is really nice because Armatile does have 0 attack points on your opponent's turn. So you do want to summon them with this card. You don't want to play Polymerization. You don't want to play Future Fusion. You want to play this card. Now, to combo with the Dimension Fusion Destruction, this is a big thing that I've noticed while playing the deck. The deck has this issue where the moment that you use Dimension Fusion Destruction, you either win or you're done. If they can get over your Armatile monsters, this card banishes your 3 from your deck, or from your graveyard or your field, and immediately after that, it becomes an issue of, I no longer have a way to play. So I play 1 copy of Different Dimension Burial to shuffle them back into your deck, or back into your graveyard, so you can use cards like Hyperblaze or even your Exodius, the Ultimate Forbidden Lord, to get them back into your deck, or back onto your field. So I think this card's really good. Sometimes I get rid of this card on accident because I do lose it from like Allure of Darkness or just from other cards in the deck. I often lose them from that, but this card's really good. Plus, it's a spell that you can use to summon your Haman with your Cerulean Skyfire. So yeah, I think this card is really, really good for this deck. A lot of people kind of sleep on this option to recover them from your Dimension Fusion Destruction. So pretty good, pretty good. This is kind of really obvious. It's a deck that only has dark monsters, so you really want to play Allure of Darkness. Plus, you're playing so many 3-ofs of cards that you're probably going to have multiples of in your hand, so 3 copies of Allure of Darkness is just a really good idea. Just to draw some more cards, refresh your hand, stuff like that. I have 2 copies of Twin Twisters in this deck as well. I think two copies is perfect because, again, you don't want to see it too much, but you want to see it still. There is a few times where I haven't used this on my opponent's stuff. I've actually used this on my own stuff to pop my traps, send them to the graveyard to give Uriah more attack points, which is kind of a spicy combo if you ask me. This also lets you discard cards. You can use this to discard for your Stygian Street Patrol, which is really nice. You can also discard Stygian Street Patrol with your opening of the Spirit Gates, which is something I always recommend doing, is discarding your Cerulean, or not your Cerulean Skyfire, your Stygian Street Patrol, or your I think he's the Summoning Beast. Yeah, the Dark. Where is he? He's the trying to find him. Yeah, the Chaos Summoning Beast. You want to discard him with that too. So really cool, really cool. And then the last card is just a copy of 1-for-1. I play 1-for-1 in this deck because you can, again, discard 1 card, discard your Stygian Street Patrol. Once you've done that, you summon your Chaos Summoning Beast, because Summoning Beast's effect is not activated upon his normal summon. So if you have one of them in your hand, if you have one of the Sacred Beasts in your hand and you have a 1-for-1, you can discard like a Stygian Street Patrol, or you can discard a Summoning Beast, or you can discard a Beckoning Beast. Just you can discard anything, summon a Beckoning Beast from your deck for free, or essentially it's not a normal, it doesn't waste your normal summon. Summon him, tribute him, summon your Sacred Beasts, boom, done. That was a Sacred Beast without conducting your normal summon. So that's why I play a 1-for-1 in this deck. I think a lot of people other than me should play 1-for-1 personally, but that is just me. Onto the traps. This card also came in the structure deck, and you want to play 3 of this. We have 3 copies of Awakening of the Sacred Beasts. This card's really cool because, again, like I said with the Opening of the Spirit Gates, it plays into the lore. In the anime, when the Sacred Beasts were summoned, they would drain the life from all the other monsters in the world. So when there's one of them on the board, every time your opponent normal summons or special summons a monster, you kind of drain its life force. So you take its attack points and you add it to your life points, which is really, really cool. None of these effects are once per turn either, which is really, really crazy. If you have 2 of them on the board, it negates the activation or the activated effects of monsters your opponent controls, which is also really, really crazy. And then if you have 3 of them on the board, which isn't that hard to do actually, any monsters sent to the graveyard, to your opponent's graveyard are banished instead. So it dark laws your opponent's board, which is kind of cool. So it either ghost spells, and plasmas, or it ghost spells, plasmas, and dark laws, which is really crazy. These are also continuous spells or continuous traps for your Uriah, and it has a very similar effect to opening of the Spirit Gates, which is once per turn, if you control a level 10, you can add a continuous trap from your graveyard to your hand. So you can actually recover your Hyperblaze if you really, really need to. I've never done it. Again, just like with the continuous spell, I've never done that effect, but if you have to, you can. Before we get into Hyperblaze, there is one little tech card I saw somebody else playing that I really, really liked, so I'm also doing it. We have 3 copies of the continuous trap Mistake, which is neither player can add cards from their deck to their hands except by drawing them. Once you've really set up with this deck, you don't need to search for cards anymore. You only want to draw them off of Fallen Paradise or by your Allure of Darkness. So I really think Mistake is a great card. I think it's a really great card in this deck. Plus, again, it's another continuous trap for your Uriah to get attack points from. It's another continuous trap to summon your Uriah. So it's just a really good card, honestly. I think you can also trade this out for like a Floodgate, another different Floodgate if you want. You can play like, Summon Limit if you want. I wouldn't do that in this deck. I think it's a really bad idea. But you can totally play that in this deck if you really want. But I suggest Mistake. It's the best one. And then the final trap for this deck is Hyperblaze. I played 2 copies, just like I played 2 copies of Cerulean Skyfire, because again, you want to see it. Don't want to see too much of it. You know how it is. This card's really, really good. It does the same thing that Cerulean Skyfire does for Haman, but instead it does it for Uriah, which is instead of just tributing face-up continuous traps, you can tribute face-down traps as well, which is really, really nice. Once per battle, when an Uriah is involved in a battle, you can send a trap from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and then Uriah's attack points become equal to the number of face-up traps on the field and in the graveyard. And in the graveyards, so it counts for your opponent's graveyard too, times 1,000, which is really, really crazy. He gets really, really big, really, really fast, because most of the traps that are played in modern day are either normal traps or they're played continuous traps. So he's getting points for every trap card that's been played in the duel so far, which is really, really crazy. So that's awesome. But this card also adds the effect from the anime where if the Sacred Beasts are in your graveyard, you can discard a card to special summon them back, ignoring their summoning conditions. So this card's really, really good. It's like a continuous Call of the Haunted. You just get to keep activating it over and over and over again. So it's also really searchable. Enough said, this card's just super good. Onto the extra deck. We play 1 copy of the new Armatile, the Chaos Phantom, Phantom of Fury. So this card combined with your regular Armatile, these 2 cards together make the anime Armatile. So this is step 1. You make this guy, and what he does is when this card's name becomes Armatile, the Chaos Phantom while on the field, once per turn during your main phase, you can give control of this card to your opponent. And then once per turn during the end phase, if this card's control was changed this turn, banish all cards you control. Then the owner of this card can special summon 1 Armatile, the Chaos Phantom from the extra deck, ignoring summoning conditions. So what you do, you summon this guy, give it to your opponent at the end of your turn. So at the end of your turn, it banishes everything they control, and then it gives you this guy. Now the downside is because you summoned this guy with this effect, you still take battle damage, but he's still immune to being destroyed by battle, and he still gets the 10,000 on your turn. So if you have Fallen Paradise on the board, this guy is still a crazy, crazy powerful card, which is really, really nice. So this guy wipes their board, this guy OTKs immediately afterwards. So amazing, amazing little combo of cards here. I'm so glad they made a retrain for Armatile that gives him his anime effect. And we only play 1 other fusion, which is the Phantasm Emperor card. I've never summoned this. I probably should. I'm not going to lie with you. I don't even remember what it does. It's if this card is special summoned, or if another monster is special summoned from the graveyard to your field where you control this monster, target a face-up monster your opponent controls, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half its original attack. You can only use this. So he's pretty good. He's also got 4,000 off the bat, which is really, really nice. He just requires 3 level 10s. And because he has Phantasm in his name, I think this guy was actually designed to be summoned with the Sacred Beasts. it would take a lot of arguing to convince me otherwise. But yeah, so you can use your 3 Sacred Beasts to summon this guy if you want. The other cards in this extra deck are more or less just kind of filler, just cards you can summon, except for this guy, which is number 39, Ravenous Tarantula. Now, I don't own any of these level 10 Xyz monsters. I'm working on ordering them right now. This guy is crazy good. Like I said before, you want to use like your Exodius and one of your Sacred Beasts, or one of your Sacred Beasts and another Sacred Beast to make this guy. If you had your Awakening of the Awakening of the Spirit Beasts up on the board at the time before you had this guy up, this guy, his effect is that you gain his attack and defense are equal to the difference in your opponent's life points and your life points. So just to give you guys a rough estimate of how big you can get your life points with Awakening of the Sacred Beasts, at the end of my opponent's turn once, I had 19,000 life points. So that would give this guy some crazy high attack points and defense points. So he's pretty good. You really, really want to play him. When this card has Xyz material, each time your opponent special summons a monster, it inflicts 1,600 damage to your opponent, which is also crazy. And then once per turn, you can detach an Xyz material from this card, destroy all monsters your opponent controls with less attack than or equal to this card. Again, this guy's attack points get massive if you have Awakening of the Sacred Beast on your board. So this card is just crazy good. Honestly, if you want to play 3 of this guy, totally do it. Go ahead. He's amazing. To kind of combo with him, I also play number 84, and I also play number 77. Which are also really good cards for this deck. I play a copy of Sky Palace Gangaradai. Again, just a really other nice card. Of course, let's do some more burn damage. I also play Super Dreadnought Cannon, Gustav Max. And the last rank 10 monster I play is number XX Utopic Dark Infinity. Onto our links. We actually play a lot more links in this deck than you'd think. We have one copy of Almirage. Almirage is pretty good because if you normal summon one of those guys, if you want one of them in the graveyard, you can just summon Almirage with them. And then you contribute Almirage, quick effect, to target a monster you control. It cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects this turn. So if you can't put your Fallen Paradise on the board, you can summon this guy to protect your Sacred Beast for the turn, which is really, really nice. We also have one copy of Relinquished Anima. And one copy of Link Karibo. These guys are kind of used for the same purpose, which is just to use one of your level 1 monsters to make one of these guys. This guy equips the monster, and this guy gives you more or less battle damage protection, essentially. He drops a monster to 0. I play a Beat Cop. Beat Cop is a very similar issue to Salamangreat Almirage. You want to use 2 of your monsters to make her, and then you tribute herself to give one of your Sacred Beasts the Cop counter to give it protection from battle or card effects for a turn, or up until that token is used. Usually I use that effect on one of my Armatile monsters because I think those guys are the ones who really need the protection the most. And then I also play a Barricade Borg Blocker, just to kind of help me get back my my continuous spells and my field spell if it goes to the graveyard. Again, if you go through those 2 copies of Fallen Paradise in a duel, you can use this guy to recycle them back, which is really, really nice. And then the last card I play is just kind of basic. I just play a copy of Nightmare Phoenix. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I know it was a little longer than my normal 4-minute character deck profiles, but this was a deck I'm really passionate about, very similar to Heroes or Cyber Dragons. So I really wanted to go in depth with this deck to hope that I get you guys to kind of play it. Very similar to Cubics. I like this deck a lot. I'm really big on Dark Fiend decks from the show. Most of them get a lot of really good support, so I really wanted to give you guys a deck profile for this deck super duper badly. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, hit the button in the center of the screen to subscribe on the spot. Go down into the comment section below, tell me what you guys want to see next. And go down into the description below, check out our Discord if you want to chat it up and maybe even do a tournament someday. Who knows? This has been Cole from TCG Cardcast. Peace out, guys.